Nepal, 37 plus foreign relations, knowing them more, appreciating the efforts of ambassadors, plenipotentiaries, envoys, and head of missions. Welcome to Their Excellencies. Welcome to Their Excellencies. So thank you so much for your time, Your Excellency, and I welcome you to Business Plus Television. To begin with, you have an interesting journey in your diplomatic life and going to different countries together. And how is a diplomatic life, or how is a life as a diplomat?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me into your program for this conversation. Actually, a diplomatic life, sometimes I tell people that people think that diplomatic life is very glamorous, but actually it is not. It is a lot of our time is spent on very boring, regular, mundane, administrative issues and things like that. But at the same time, it is also very exciting because you get to go to interesting places, you live in many different kinds of cultures, and you learn about many different cultures and people. So that way it's very exciting.
So, Your Excellency, going to different places can be fun if it was not for work. So, is this a cross-cultural or multicultural exposure, or sometimes a little bit taxing?
If you think it is taxing, then it is difficult for you to perform. So I think personally, it's my view that one should take it very positively, so that you can deliver and you can actually benefit from your experience in living in a different country. Because you find yourself living in Europe, the next day you are living somewhere in Asia, another day you are in Africa. So you have to have this capacity to absorb and adapt very quickly, not only yourself but your families also, because you of course move with your family. So for children it becomes a bit of challenging. They move to different schools, systems, education systems. They have to make new kinds of friends. They have to learn different languages. Children, I think, may find it difficult, but for them also it is a very rewarding experience at the end, because then they get to, at a very young age they are getting a global view, and most of our children, I find that they enjoy it. And if you think that no, this is difficult and I'm finding it hard to adjust, in that case it's better that you don't join the foreign service. You take any other job at home and you stay at home.
So how's the work-life balance for an ambassador in a foreign country?
Well, the ambassador is of course the last stage of your journey in your career. You start at a very low level of a third secretary, and then you get promoted, and finally at the end of your career you become an ambassador. So at different stages it's different. You have different kinds of experience. When we start, our families are young. We have young children. They have challenges of going to school and then coming back home and adjusting, and that's there. By the time we are ambassadors, our children are grown up, so that's not an issue anymore. But at the same time, it's always difficult balancing your career and your family.
But you get used to it.
But you get used to it.
So, Your Excellency, 7 years in Nepal, and quite some time actually. So, how do you sum up your experience in Nepal as a person?
As a person, I have had a wonderful time. in Nepal, and sometimes, you know, it's so similar to Bangladesh that I sometimes forget that I'm living in a foreign country. It's, you know, exactly the same. The food is the same, the music and the culture, the language is also very similar. So sometimes it's almost as if I'm at home. And also Bangladesh is only 1 hour away, you know, you fly to Dhaka, it's just 1 hour. So that way I have really enjoyed my time here.
So can you narrate one of your most memorable moment in this 7 years?
There are so
I'm sure there are a
many.
lot many, but,
so many.
but the one that comes to your mind, top of the mind.
Well, memorable, I don't know, but one of my most permanent achievements, if you think of it like that, I would say it's, you know, in Lumbini, you have the Lumbini Development Trust has allocated land for different countries to build their own monasteries. There's a monastic zone, and Bangladesh, during my tenure, we succeeded in obtaining a plot of land from the Lumbini Development Trust for a Buddhist monastery, Bangladesh Buddhist monastery there. And I think it will be like Lumbini is, you know, it's 2000 years old, and it will be there for the next 2000 years. And I like to think that, you know, what during my tenure we have achieved. Hopefully Bangladesh monastery will be there for the next 2000 years. So it's something permanent that I have helped to secure during my tenure.
Of course, we can see Bangladesh even in Lumbini zone now.
Exactly. And you know, Bangladesh has a very thriving Buddhist heritage, and I felt it that it's important for us to reflect that. And there is a very strong linkage between Lumbini and Bangladesh, you know. So I thought it was most appropriate that we should have our monastery there, and I think that's one of my most permanent achievements.
So what was the local connection? As you said, there was connection with food, there was connection with music. Do you have plenty of Nepalese friends, or you are still with that diplomatic circle and people on the missions?
I have so many friends that, you know, I was planning to leave in April. Because my tenure is over a long time ago. I was planning to leave in April because, you know, Pahela Boishakh for Nepal, Nepali New Year is the same as Bangla New Year. It's on 14th April. So I planned that I would finish Pahela Boishakh and then go. But then the lockdown and this that happened. But my point is that I have so many friends here that my farewells started from January. So, you know, we planned 3 months. It was going to take me 3 months of farewells to say goodbye to all my friends. You know.
One thing was remarkable when we were entering the embassy campus, and on the gate there was Nag Puja and there was Nag. So even at the embassy, you have these cultural threads connected with the Nepalese traditions and cultures.
We have a lot of similarities, as I said. And do you know that there is a big Nepali community, in Nepali origin Bangladesh community in Bangladesh, and it's about 120,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Nepali origin Bangladeshis are there. We even have a state minister in the cabinet who is Nepali origin, and the Gorkhas have been included as a special category in, you know, it's not a scheduled caste, but as a special category. They have been recognized as a special category under the constitution. So that linkage is very strong, you know.
So the presence of Nepal in Bangladesh is equally strong.
Exactly, it's very strong. There is even a Gorkha Para in Rangamati, which is one of our hill districts in eastern Bangladesh, southeastern Bangladesh. So there is a Gorkha Para there also.
7 years is good time, and about your observation and the people to people connect. It is very surprising, as you mentioned, that there is a significant Nepali population, Nepali origin Bangladeshi population in Bangladesh. But I was going through the tourism and other data which are not as significant as related to other neighboring countries. That people to people connect, for example, like how many Bangladeshi restaurants are in Nepal, or the influence of our very friendly nation in Nepal. So what has been or roadblock to it, or the people-to-people connection, where do you see it can be no more nurtured?
There is a lot of scope to nurture this people-to-people contact, because right now we welcome about 25,000 to 30,000 Bangladeshi tourists in Nepal. I think that number can easily be doubled, because Bangladeshis, we are becoming more affluent. We have recently graduated from an LDC to a middle income country, and a lot of Bangladeshis are now enjoying foreign travel, and for them to come to Nepal is so convenient. It's, as I said, only 1 hour away, and Nepal, it's very similar, but at the same time it's very different, because you have the high Himalayas, and our topography is completely flat, and we have the sea. And for us, it's a beautiful experience to enjoy the white mountains and the Himal. So people love to come here also. But I think there could be more tourism promotional from Nepal side.
So is it only about promotion, to promote the tourism, to invite more and more Bangladeshis to come to Nepal and vice versa? So do you think, is it only promotion, or there are a few other infrastructural interventions that needs to take place?
Well, another is that if we could have direct bus service from Bangladesh to Nepal and Nepal to Bangladesh, that would be very beneficial. That would be very easy, good for the budget traveler and young people also, because from the northern tip of Bangladesh to Kakarvita, it's only around some say 30 kilometers, others say even less. Let's say about 80 kilometers by road. If you take the road, it's around 80 kilometers, which takes about 2 hours. So it's nothing. So if we had direct bus connectivity, then we could have people coming just for the day, from the northern Bangladesh. They could come, go to Ilam and enjoy the Kanchenjunga, view of the Kanchenjunga, and go back, because you can also see Kanchenjunga from Bangladesh. So you could, they could come to Nepal and see the other side of the Kanchenjunga, and then that could be a very interesting way of tying.
So during your tenure, Your Excellency, what kind of initiatives have you taken to actually connect or clear that bottleneck?
Well, actually, it's not me, but we have been working towards this motor vehicle, BBIN motor vehicle agreement, the Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal motor vehicle agreement. This was signed in June 2015, and then Bangladesh, India and Nepal have ratified it, but for some reason Bhutan has not been able to ratify the agreement. They have some reservations. So now we are trying to work out a mechanism by which Bangladesh, India and Nepal can go ahead. Bhutan can join later when they are more comfortable. But now Nepal also has some issues about service charges or some reservations. I think there is some worry that operators from Bangladesh or India will come and take over the Nepali transport sector. It's not like that. There are very strict stipulations are there in the protocols. So I think this motor vehicle agreement would be hugely beneficial, not only for tourism, but it would also allow us to expand our trade, because what is happening now is that the Nepali trucks are going to the Bangladesh, to the land port in Bangladesh, Bangla Bandha, and the trucks are loaded there, and then they come here, and they are bringing our exports and imports. But if the motor vehicle agreement was in effect, the trucks could be loaded at the warehouse, so there would be no no transshipment. True. And it would reduce the breakage, breakage and the labor cost, and it would be so beneficial. And so many times our exporters are complaining that around 20 to 30% breakage is happening because of this transshipment, and also delays.
So where is this agreement stuck? Or
I think Nepal is still trying to work out what are the benefits and what are the problems. And once Nepal is comfortable with it, this can go ahead.
So I'm sure you have worked closely with government and various other Nepalese stakeholders. So in your experience, how are they? Are they welcoming? Are they fast enough? Is the decision making good, or are the person good but there are systematic delays that happen? So were you frustrated or excited in your 7 years?
No, you see, Nepal has been going through a transition. During my whole tenure here, Nepal has been going through this political transition. It has been a very exciting journey to see Nepal's journey, democratic journey, as an observer. And during this transition, naturally, lot of things will be delayed. A lot of things need to be worked out. You are experimenting with a new system, the federal system. So naturally, you will have less time for some other, other
non-priority,
yeah,
or futuristic aspects.
You need to work out your domestic issues first before you concentrate on external issues. So we are willing to be patient and give time, because eventually I think Bangladesh and Nepal, we are already very close politically. We are very close, but eventually I think the economics will kick in, and we will have a lot of benefits.
So what kind of suggestions you would have to the government about their working procedure, or what are the areas you think they need to improve on to make these kind of bilateral issues perform fast when they are rewarding to the nation?
Well, it's not up to me to tell your government what to do. It's for your government to work out by themselves how they want to do. We never tell people what to do. That's our that's the way we work in Bangladesh. We don't like people to tell us what to do, and we don't tell others. But I always tell people that because it's an extremely challenging, the global scenario is extremely challenging, and we are constantly preoccupied with new challenges, like this COVID has completely taken us all by surprise. So we need to stay focused, and we need to keep the engagement. We need to have sustained engagement. And of course, we will have bigger priorities, bigger neighbors, bigger superpowers, and multilateral pressures. That will be there. But within all that, there is a lot of room for smaller countries like Bangladesh and Nepal to cooperate, because we have so many similarities. And we have so many areas where we have similar challenges. So we have a lot of scope to cooperate. And I want to constantly remind people of Nepal that yes, while you look outside, there is Bangladesh just 80 kilometers away, and a very good friend is there, so we can expand our cooperation.
Seeing holistically, not only from economic point of view, from friendship point of view, from diplomacy, from cultural. So how important is Nepal as a friend of nation to Bangladesh?
Nepal is a very important friend of Bangladesh. It was one of the first countries to recognize us in 1972, January 1972. And you see, Bangladesh, right from the beginning, our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, when he enunciated our foreign policy right at the beginning, just after our independence, he gave priority to the region. He said that Bangladesh must give priority to all the countries of South Asia, because the region has to develop together. We need to grow together, and it's for us to cooperate together. Otherwise, the outsiders will come and they will try to take benefit from us. And right from the beginning, he said that our the relationship of the South Asian countries, we must nurture it. Because not only for trade or commerce or tourism, but also think of the environment. What is happening in the mountains today will eventually have an impact in Bangladesh, because the river, we have common river systems, we have common geological systems, we have similar ecosystems. And what is happening in the Bay of Bengal, if there's a cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, it comes and rains here. So there is so much a relationship, symbiotic relationship between.
So, Your Excellency, this is a very interesting point. You mean to say that we are ecologically connected as well, wherein we should not be undermining the ecological impacts which can be nurtured by this friendship?
Of course, and it's increasingly more important in this world of this climate change and global warming, it's going to, I think in the future, this will be one of the key areas of cooperation between us.
Your Excellency, in 1978, we had established Joint Economic Commission, and it was signed at finance minister's level. So from 78 to 2020, if we see the trade exchanges between these two countries, they are not very significant. And noticeably, the trade balance between Nepal and Bangladesh, this is the 2016 data, I think the picture has changed a lot. There is a surplus, means Nepal is exporting more and importing less. So does it hint or signal that Bangladesh is not finding Nepal as an economically important partner? Or is it that, or are there any other things? Because 1978 to 2020, and still insignificant figures, and in my observation, insignificant figures, and the balance. So what would be your comment on this?
Well, it's a very interesting question. You see, from 72 to 2016, Bangladesh export to Nepal was constant. We were only exporting around $10 million worth of goods to Nepal, and that was mostly raw jute. It was coming for your jute factories in Biratnagar and Birganj. After around 2014-15, things started to change. Our many other new products have started to come, you know, agro products, electronics, furniture, motorcycles, batteries, so many other kinds of products have been coming, and our exports to Nepal have suddenly jumped from 10 million to around 40-45 million, and our trade balance, the trade is now, Bangladesh is exporting more to Nepal and than Nepal is exporting to Bangladesh. You see, even though it's very insignificant, you know, taking our global figures here, like Nepal imports around $12 billion of goods. Out of that, you are importing only 40 million from Bangladesh. Your trade imbalance is around 11 billion. But with Bangladesh, your trade imbalance is only like 20 million. But even then I found that there is a huge concern in the business community here, and they are very worried, and everywhere I go, people are constantly complaining about this huge trade imbalance between Bangladesh and Nepal. You know, there is this perception that only Bangladesh is exporting to Nepal, and whereas Nepal is not able to export to Bangladesh. There is this perception is there.
I think that's mere perception, because we can see Nepal exporting a lot of things like cardamom and lentils and wheat. That's what is written in the second.
Exactly, and I also would like to mention here that Bangladesh is very sensitive about this perception. You know, it may be a perception, but Bangladesh is very sensitive about it, and we would like to give Nepal duty-free, quota-free access to our market. You know, Bangladesh is a huge market. It's a population of 170 million people. Out of that, 5 crore, 50 million is middle class. And I always tell the Nepal business community that, you know, it's a huge market and it's right there, so close to you. So please explore the market. Anything you want to export, you know, you can send to Bangladesh. So to facilitate your exports to Bangladesh, we have been offering Nepal this duty-free access to our markets, and in return we are not asking for any duty-free. We are only asking for slight reduction, like preferential reduction of some items. So that also we are working out, trying to work out a PTA, a preferential trade agreement, and I hope once that is signed, we are almost very close to achieving it. I hope once we have achieved it, the Nepali exports to Bangladesh will pick up.
I have observed, Your Excellency, that Bangladesh is very open when it comes to economic interventions, and there are special economic zones and bonded zones and the kind of business practices that are happening there. And I think it was one of the highest economic growth country in the world. So it was double digit, I guess, in past few years. So that kind of country, and why are you not cascading a little bit of that culture, a little bit of that economic bandwidth to our country, because you are one of our nearest friends.
Yes, that is why I always tell your business community that please try to benefit from Bangladesh's economic growth. You know, it's a country that has been growing at more than 8% for the last 3 years, and our aggregate growth in the last decade has been the highest in the world.
So, Excellency, like to be more specific on this, to the business people who are watching this television show, what kind of message you have? Like, what is the opportunity in Bangladesh? Because you know Nepal, the context of Nepal as well. So, what kind of Nepalese businessman can see immediate opportunities in Bangladesh, and what kind of incentives or red carpet they can enjoy?
You see, if you're thinking of exports, like all your products are very popular in Bangladesh. You know, your pashmina shawls, your handicraft items, your jewelries, your fruits and vegetables. You know, avocados. You have so many. You know, it's so plentiful here, and avocados are so expensive in Bangladesh. Your apples. We are importing apples all the way from Australia, so we can import your apples. Your tea and coffee, you know, everything would be very welcome in Bangladesh. And also, if you know, if Nepal would like to invest in any industry in our special economic zones, we give very high incentives.
Yeah.
And Nepal can, any Nepali company can invest there, and from there you can export to any of the third countries you would like to. And also, you know, Bangladesh has offered Nepal the ports of Chittagong and Mongla for use for transit, you know, to third countries. So all those offers are there in the table. I think another perception that is there, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to bring the positive news about Bangladesh to Nepali viewers. There is not much news is coming from Bangladesh to Nepal, or even of Nepal to Bangladesh, and it's only news of floods or disasters that's coming here, you know. So that way the perception for many Nepalis, I find, is that of Bangladesh 30 years ago, that it's a very poor country and poverty, and you know, people are not very well off. So that perception is there. Perhaps it's also our fault that we have not been able to project the positives. So that's where we need to work a bit harder, I think.
And about the connectivity, connecting Bangladesh and Nepal, what are the activities in pipeline, and how soon you see them getting executed?
As I mentioned, the motor vehicle agreement, that would be a very key element in promoting the connectivity of our two countries. Also, Nepal has recently expressed an interest in the waterways, accessing through the inland waterways for you know, transportation of goods. That's there because Bangladesh is a riverine country, and Bangladesh and India already have a model of riverine transit and trade. Riverine is there, riverine use is there, so Nepal can also benefit from that. And also air connectivity can also be promoted, because we right now have Dhaka, Kathmandu only. Yeah. Nepal has also expressed an interest in the regional, you know, like connecting the smaller airports like Bhadrapur and Biratnagar with one of our northern airports. It's Saidpur and Lalmanirhat. Wow. So if those are connected, there will be only like 15-minute flight from Saidpur to Bhadrapur. So that can also benefit the localized transport, and it will be cheaper. And also recently Himalaya Airlines has started going to Bangladesh. They have also requested, they are planning, I think, to go to Chittagong, not only connecting Dhaka but also connecting Chittagong. So a lot of options are there, you know, so we can think of connectivity in all kinds of forms. But you know, what I always want to underscore is that it's not only the physical connectivity, it's, you see, a connectivity of minds and hearts, ideas, and you know, a connectivity of the people that's important. Unless we have the connectivity of the minds, this physical connectivity cannot cannot be implemented.
But how do we make that connectivity contagious? Because I was myself there in Bangladesh, and I was at a painter's place in Gulshan, and the kind of welcome I got, the kind of warmth I felt was exceptional, let me tell you. But a lot of people are not going to, Chittagong is such an interesting place. Bangladesh has a lot of very interesting places. So why have we not considered Bangladesh for a vacation or a family destination or a wedding destination or any kind of other things? Because we have certain families who have their in-laws in Bangladesh. Still,
exactly.
Those kind of matrimonial threads are also there. So where is this whole thing delayed?
Not only that, we have a huge Nepali student community in Bangladesh.
Exactly.
There are about, some say 5,000 Nepali students are there, I don't know. Every year around 500 to 600 Nepali students are going to Bangladesh, mainly for MBBS, and other subjects are there also. And then they come back and they bring this goodwill that you are talking about. Just today, this morning, I was talking to Dr.
That is yet to spread to the common Nepalese people.
That is there. That problem is there. I think in a certain way, also, all the Bangladeshi tourists who come here, they go back. And I think our preoccupations, we are still young nations. Of course, Nepal is one of the oldest nation states. But even then, Bangladesh is a very young nation. Next year, we will be celebrating 50 years of independence. So, I think for us, there are so many challenges, challenges of poverty, of the challenge of feeding our people, giving health care to all our people. I think those challenges are sometimes overcoming us, and we find it difficult to maybe
Bangladesh and Nepal will be connected through what ways? Is that a pretty feasible idea, or is it more of a fairy tale?
No, there is no reason why it should not be, because we have common river systems, and 30% of Bangladesh's rivers are getting the waters from Nepal. Because Bangladesh has three major river systems, the Ganges Padma and the Brahmaputra, and then the Meghna system. And out of the Ganges, you are contributing, it contributes around 30% to our river system. So Nepal is directly contributing so much to us. And as I mentioned, we already have a very strong network of inland waterways with India.
So you think it's feasible?
I think it's feasible and it's practical.
Do you think it's far?
A lot depends on how the officials and people, a lot depends on our will, how we would like, how fast we want to get it done.
How much is that will?
No, that depends, because riverine transport is it is the cheapest and the most eco-friendly form of transportation. So that way it will benefit Nepal. So it depends. I mean, I am not very sure how exactly. I know people are working in Nepal. People are working to, to transform this into reality. So let us see.
You're hopeful.
I'm very hopeful.
Optimistic.
I'm always very optimistic.
Talking about hydropower, can Nepal consider Bangladesh as one of the most prominent client? Because a lot of things are happening in these lines.
Exactly. Bangladesh is a huge market for Nepal. Bangladesh, with our fast growing economy, our demand for power is growing so fast. Right now, our production capacity is about 21,000 megawatt. But within 10 years, that demand will cross 40,000 megawatt. And we would like to, most of it is, our production is from coal or gas based power plants. And we want to transform to clean, green, renewable sources of energy because of the environment. And Nepal hydropower is the cleanest and the greenest and the most renewable source of energy. And I think that is the most win-win situation for both of us. And so that's why in 2018, our two countries have signed an MOU for cooperation in this sector. And we have moved very fast in this. The secretaries are meeting, joint working groups.
Your Excellency, in your assumption and forecast, when will you buy the first unit of hydropower from us?
Well, I was talking to your officials the other day, and they are also very optimistic. I can't give a deadline, a set date, but I hope it will be very soon. It's not very far off.
What has been the most beautiful political regime which was very much promoting this friendship?
I think we have been building up, it's a step-by-step process, and you cannot really you cannot highlight or you cannot pinpoint.
But was there no leapfrog initiative in this relationship when it comes to the political sphere?
Like together we have, I like to think that it's an incremental process. And for example, last year our Honorable President visited Nepal, and this was the first time we had a bilateral presidential level visit from Bangladesh to this country. And we have also been, we were looking forward to welcoming Right Honorable President of Nepal to Bangladesh this year to help us to celebrate the birth centenary of our father of the nation. We were expecting her to visit Bangladesh in March, in fact, but that got postponed due to the COVID. But we hope that once the situation is normal, Right Honorable President will be visiting Bangladesh. And these are incremental. Foreign Minister visited Bangladesh this February, and it has been after a very long time. So I think it's not the lack of visits. If you take it as a way, if you like to think that these are the highlights of the relationship, the lack of visits does not really mean that there is no good relations between the countries. It's just that, as I said, we have so many preoccupations. Nepal has been going through a transition. Yeah. Bangladesh itself, for 21 years we had, our political system was, not very, we were also going through a lot of transition and ups and downs. And it's only in the last decade, since 2009, we have had a very good stability, and we have been able to focus on our priorities, and Nepal is a priority country for Bangladesh.
Your Excellency, before we move to the regional aspects, so how do we conclude this conversation about the people-to-people and business-to-business economic relationship? Where do you actually see the prospects and potential are?
Well, when I came here first, 2013, my target was to promote our business community, business people, and our exports. And I had set a target for myself that our bilateral trade would be around $100 million. So I have not been able to achieve that, but it's around $60 million right now. So I'm not too dissatisfied. So it is moving in the right direction. So as long as it is increasing, that's fine.
So what are the sectors you would like to promote, or where you actually see a scope?
Well, this hydro is a very critical area, and then I would like to see more tourism, definitely tourism exchange. I would like to see more students going from Nepal to Bangladesh, but here I would like to give a warning that Nepali students who go to Bangladesh, they should be going to the quality education institutions, and for that they need to be, they should consult the embassy before going and selecting a university, because of course, like in any country, there are categories of institutions. True. So they should, before making a final choice, they should at least check with the embassy.
So you want them to be careful?
I want them to be careful, and I want them not to, because it's a matter of their future. So I would like them to consult the embassy rather than anybody else. So that's there. We would like to see more students from Nepal to Bangladesh, and I would like to see more exchanges, like more political, more business and business promotion. I would like FNCCI to take a huge delegation to Bangladesh. I would like CNI to take a big delegation to Bangladesh. There should be even the regional chambers. The Biratnagar chamber. They should go and visit the Panchagar chamber. There should be more exchanges, because unless there is exchange of visits, people don't get to know about each other. And also youth exchanges. During my tenure, I have seen a lot of interest among the young people, and the embassy has been able to sponsor a lot of youth exchange, and that's one positive area. So that also I would like to see.
Your Excellency, why is there no significant, to the best of my knowledge, investment as FDI from Bangladesh?
Interesting that you mentioned, because the other day I was talking to your Secretary Industries, and there is about $1 billion of investment already from Bangladesh in Nepal, and they are employing around 5,800 people in those various investments, but major investment is not there yet. One of the reasons is that there is restriction in Bangladesh on outgoing investments. We are only allowing outgoing investments in the last couple of years, and only in the most exceptional cases on a case-by-case basis. But Bangladesh has already announced, our minister, State Minister for Energy has announced that we would like to invest in the energy sector, hydro sector of Nepal, and we are willing to invest more than $1 billion in that area alone. So that that interest is there. So I think in the near future we will be seeing a lot more investment, not only in the hydro but also in food processing, in agro processing, in these areas.
Now, going to the regional context, I would like to take advantage of this conversation in knowing and clarifying the Nepal and Bangladesh relations and the influence of other countries. So, since you've worked in Delhi and been involved with a lot of activities in SAARC and South Asian initiatives, how do you see the role and influence and the activity of India in our mutual friendship?
You see, ultimately it is up to us, Bangladesh and Nepal, to decide exactly how close we want to be. Ideally, first of all, we need to decide whether we are at all interested to cooperate, to work together. If Nepali businessman wants to export to Bangladesh, or if a Bangladeshi tourist wants to come to Nepal. So it is up to us. Nobody is stopping us, And
so now coming to the reality, how is it?
No, it is there. I mean, that's the main factor. I find there is still not that much of.
We still want to see Bangladesh through Indian eyes?
No, it's not a matter of looking at Bangladesh through Indian eyes. I think our trigger is still missing. That turning point is still not. We have still not achieved that. For our business communities to realize that yes, there is a huge market for
What is actually holding that turning point?
I think what's holding that back is lack of interest and lack of knowledge, basically, if you put it like that. Because I think Nepal still thinks Bangladesh is, like 30 years ago, poor, hungry, prone to natural disasters, cyclones, floods, lot of rioting and all that. So that perception is there in the Nepalese community. And for Bangladeshis, we think that Nepal is a very small market. It's not worth exporting to Nepal because it will not, it's so small that what will I send here? So that perception is there. So it is up to.
So what kind of flip picture you want Nepalese to have about Bangladesh?
As we mentioned earlier, it's a very fast growing economy. It's one of the fastest growing economies of the world. It's a market of 170 million people. It's a market of people whose purchasing capacity is almost $2,000 per year. And
very tasty food, beautiful places to go.
No, and it's a market that's growing. The important factor is that it's growing. It's not stagnating. It's vibrant, and there are many areas, many things that that there are, that we could
working together.
Bond together.
So about the role of India in Nepal-Bangladesh relationship, you think our friendship is independent, or India has no role other than contributing role to this?
I think that we are all influencing each other. Bangladesh is also influencing India-Nepal relations. Nepal is influencing Bangladesh-India relations. We are all influencing each other in our own ways. It's a dynamic relationship. Relations between nations are not stagnant. It's multifaceted and it's constantly evolving. And with India, you see, Bangladesh has excellent relations with India, and I don't think there is any negative influence. We can only have positives. So, like many people say that, our exports to Bangladesh is hampered because of the transit. India is not giving us transit, but that is absolutely not correct. That since 1997, in fact, because of the transit agreements that we have signed and that we have worked out and incrementally we have been implementing, there is absolutely no hassles, no
roadblocks from India.
Roadblocks for any product to go from Nepal to Bangladesh or for coming from Bangladesh to Nepal. But what would facilitate it?
But that's very interesting. It is usually a different story that is told to us through many means, and thanks for clarifying that.
But what would facilitate it further? It's that motor vehicle agreement that would allow any bus to come from Bangladesh via India to Nepal.
Where Nepal is to act. So the ball is in Nepal's court.
Yes, it is.
Sooner it reacts to it or responds to it, sooner the better. Okay, talking about SAARC, do you think SAARC is still a binding mechanism, or is it has it become a very ritualistic association?
Again, SAARC suffers from an image crisis. There are a lot of areas where SAARC is actually still working in the grassroots level. A lot of areas of cooperation is actually going on right now. What's happening is that the summit is not taking place. So the summit is there. It's very important for the photo op, but the cooperation is, it's very much going on. People are working
exactly
together.
We're seeing SAARC, for me, honestly, except few subsidies and few tariff-related aspects and this summit, I do not feel the existence of SAARC.
Let me ask you a question. What do you expect SAARC to do?
I would at least expect SAARC countries to be connected, probably a very easy visa process between the countries, very easy, no, not only easy, very easy, or free visa connectivity, and open trade concerns, and few things which are shared, a few infrastructures like transmission or any other infrastructures, a road network, which are interconnected. So these are the things that I would at least expect when we are in a regional cooperation.
SAARC, originally the South Asian region was very well interconnected, The different kingdoms were, trading with each other. There was from Bengal, goods were going all the way up to Afghanistan or coming to Nepal, and from South India they were coming to, there was a lot of, the small kingdoms were very well connected. It's only when the British came and then they imposed a lot of new systems, and that this interconnectivity, this regional interconnectivity was, stopped and blocked. And then when they left, they created the partition, which, hardened these, these
broken connections.
Yes, this finally broke all this interconnectivity.
So
what we are trying to do with SAARC is reconnect the region. And of course the historical legacy, 200 years of a colonial rule. Nepal was not colonized, so Nepal does not have that colonial hangover. But we in Bangladesh, and I'm sure in India and Pakistan also, this colonial hangover is there. And also for Bangladesh, the colonialism continued up to 1971 after 47 continued up to 1971, and so we need time for all those hangovers to go away before we can go to this ideal what you have described, and we are on the way to achieving it. SAARC visa regime is there, and there's a lot of visa stickers are given to the business people, to the bureaucrats, and to the politicians. So there is visa free movement among the SAARC countries. We have worked out SAARC power agreement is there. So a lot of things are moving in the right direction.
How does Bangladesh think about China coming into this SAARC network?
Bangladesh also has excellent relations with China, and we want to see more involvement of many more important nations, because that way it helps us to it creates more space for cooperation. So Japan and USA are already cooperating, ASEAN is there, and EU is there, so China can also come and cooperate.
What would you like to suggest the excellencies who are coming to Nepal? Based on your experience, what should they be careful about, and what should they be doing, and what should they be not doing, or any guidance as as an ex-alumni of Ambassadors of Nepal?
No, I don't want to give any specific directions. I just want everybody, and all the ambassadors whoever is coming here are already very experienced. So we all come here with a very open mind and a very open heart, and we want to enjoy what Nepal has to offer to the fullest extent. That is all my advice.
But has this country treated you well as a person or as a diplomat? I'm especially talking on people's behalf. So is there anything that you want to request our people?
No, in fact, I think the only complaint I have is that people are too friendly and you make me feel so comfortable. You made me feel so much at home. And really, I'm taking back I'm leaving behind, I think, a large part of myself in this country, and taking back a huge part of Nepal with me in my heart. So really, there is nothing for me to complain about. It's been a fantastic experience. I have really enjoyed myself, and I suddenly realized that 7 years had gone by, because I was having such a great time. So it's been really good.
So what has been your favorite food in Nepal?
Oh, there are so many, but of course momo is there, but your dal, all kinds of dal that you have, I also enjoy all kinds of dal, and I love your chilies. You have so many kinds of hot chilies. I love your hot chilies.
So Your Excellency, like concluding, so what would you like to appeal or suggest the Nepalese people who are watching us through this television?
Well, I would like to welcome the people of Nepal to Bangladesh. I would like to ask them to come and visit and see for themselves whatever I've been talking about. All these progress, under very dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister for the last 10 years. We have achieved a miraculous growth, and we have really turned around Bangladesh, and it is something that you need to see to believe. Actually, many people tell me that until I visited Bangladesh, I had no idea that it was like this. So I want people to actually visit Bangladesh, to experience Bangladesh, and then to be able to take our relationship forward.
Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
Nepal, 37 plus foreign relations, knowing them more, appreciating the efforts of ambassadors, plenipotentiaries, envoys, and head of missions. Welcome to Their Excellencies.